director, Minister Tyrone Richardson.
Hold on, my brother, don't give up. Hold on, my sister, don't look up. There is a master waiting for you. If you just make it through, I'm gonna really blow your mind. He's gonna make it worth your time. For all of the trouble you've been through, the blessing double just for you.
Minister Tyrone Richardson, our musical director, again accompanied by Chris Collins. Brothers and sisters, it is indeed our honor and a privilege to have with us for our inspirational word today, the Reverend James Duckett, Senior Pastor at Fort Mont Baptist Church in the Boogie Down Bronx.
Boogie Down Bronx.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Giving honor to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, to the president and founder of this, great movement and great organization, our leader, Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, to all of this office body, to Reverend Richardson, and to Brother Garland, who was on the music, doing a wonderful job. Let us go to God in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another opportunity just at life itself. And we ask you, oh God, that as we stand before this august body of people, that you, oh God, will touch us. That you, oh God, will help us and encourage us and inspire us in just these few minutes. It is in Jesus' name that we pray. The people of God said amen.
Amen.
For the few minutes I'm allotted today, I want to speak from the text, Exodus chapter number 1, verse number 12. Again, that is Exodus chapter number 1, verse number 12. It reads as thus, it says, "But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel." For the few minutes I'm allotted here today, I want to talk about the benefits of oppression. The benefits of oppression. We look at affliction and oppression as something that we can't overcome. We look at affliction and oppression as something that's going to always stop us from growing. However, I came to tell us on this Saturday that I want us to change our mindset. I want us to look differently, at affliction and do we understand that that beautiful diamond on a lot of women's hand had to go under pressure to be the beauty it is today? Do we understand that gold had to be pushed and dug up in order for it to be as valuable it is today? Do we understand that in order for a tree to be most fruitful, it has to be beaten and shaken? Do we understand that fish thrive in the most vigorous and salty waters? Have you ever noticed that when we had a terrible winter, spring and summer is so beautiful? I want to encourage us today that even though we are afflicted, even though we are pushed, even though we are tried at every hand, even though we go through trials and tribulations, as a people, there are some benefits from it. The benefit is that no matter what white supremacists do, no matter what oppressors do, God's plan for us never stops. Amen. Despite them trying to take away our rights and our freedoms, despite their trying to take us and kill us on every given chance they have, God's plan for us never stops. I want us to look at this text and understand that Pharaoh had a manipulative, negative, and evil plan for the children of Israel. That's right, you heard me say it. Pharaoh had a negative, evil, harsh, and disgusting plan for the children of Israel. But the more Pharaoh tried against the children of Israel, watch this, God multiplied them. Yeah. I want to encourage you that the more racists try to hurt us, God is going to multiply us. The more white supremacists try to get their way, God is going to multiply us. The Bible lets us know that God can multiply us even when we're in a bad situation. And I wonder, is there anybody in here who can say, in the midst of difficulties, I thank God that I can stand up and say, if God be for me, He's more than the world against me. So the text lets us know, ladies and gentlemen, that there's no doubting God's plan for us. Because even when our eyes are against the wall, like Maya Angelou said, we still will rise. Difficult times cause us to be tempted to compromise. Yeah. Let me say that again. The oppressor expects us to compromise, to appease him, to do what he wants us to do, to lay down and die, to just take mediocre treatment. But the truth of the matter is that God did not call us to be a low standard people. He called us to be greater, and if we did not have value, we wouldn't be oppressed today. I wish I had somebody that had self-confidence in themselves. If we didn't have what they wanted, we wouldn't be tried on every hand. If we didn't have the power, the strength, the momentum, the freedom that they so desperately want, they wouldn't try to kill us all. But today I want you to know that they didn't understand God's plan. They thought that they were doing things for our bad, but God, in the midst of every storm, turns it around for our good. The Bible says, ladies and gentlemen, the more that they were afflicted, the more that they were oppressed, the more they grew. But I like this, the last part of that verse, and I'm going to go to my seat after that. The last part of the verse says, check this out. It says, and it grieved the oppressor. It grieved the oppressor. Well, watch this. Because of God's plan, the more they tried, the more it hurt them. And I want to say, even though they're trying to undermine education for our people, we millions together. They didn't understand that just in Georgia, this room, that this week, a person, a white supremacist, a racist, got up and said they don't need any more black pastors in the room. Didn't know that they would lead 1,000 black pastors to get together. The more they try to oppress, the more we get together and we multiply. I didn't look at somebody and say, we don't die, we multiply. We don't lay down, we multiply. We don't give up, we multiply. We don't call it quits, we multiply. Is there anybody in here who can stand up and say, we multiply? So ladies and gentlemen, as the oppressor tries to afflict us, as the oppressor tries to damage our people, as the oppressor tries to keep us down, don't allow that mindset to be implanted in us, but allow us to stick together and multiply. Because the more we multiply, the more we'll grieve the oppressor. God bless you, and may heaven smile.
Thank you so much, Reverend James Duckett, Senior Pastor at Fort Baptist Church in the Bronx. The Change Choir, under the direction of Minister Tyrone Richardson.
Don't worry yourself, it will be
introduction of Minister Tyrone Richardson, and further accompanied by Chris Collins. Brothers and sisters, I want you to get on your feet right now. If you're at home, I want you to put your hands together for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice. No justice. No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? 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 Fist bump the person next to you. Tell him you love him. Every Thanksgiving and Christmas, we have meals here and we spend the day eating with people, senior citizens, and people that are homeless. We spend every holiday here in the House of Justice. Several years ago, a young lady came and she had about 3 of her children with her. They were homeless. And she stood in line and got a hot meal and sat and ate with all of us here on that day. About 3 years later, she came and said, Reverend Al, I didn't come to get a meal, I come to volunteer.
Come on.
Because I went and got a job, and I got blessed, and I bought me a house, and I spend every Thanksgiving here, because I used to be in line, I serve the line. If you hold on, your change will come. Some of you had good Thanksgivings and bad Thanksgivings, but no matter what you're going through, the fact is that you got through and you're still here. And as long as you're still here, you still got another chance to turn bad days into good days, turn nightmares into dreams. Don't you give up, don't you give out. You keep on fighting, you keep on standing, and your change will come. give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. For you that are here in the House of Justice at 106 West 145th Street in the village of Howland. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, and for you that are watching us on our various media platforms, we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning to give our report on where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Mr. Attorney Michael Hardy. Our musical director, Brother Tyrone, Minister Tyrone Richardson. And give the drummer some, my man. Certainly we enjoyed that message from our inspirational speaker this morning, Reverend James Duckett. And we needed that message after this Rittenhouse verdict this week. And I'll get into that more in a minute. Let me thank all that participate on the program, and I'm very happy when I can listen. I like to listen to the broadcast to hear how folk gonna hear it on the air, even though I'm already here. And then come out and do my part, because a lot of you don't understand that here every Saturday it listens different, it sounds different on the air than it does here, because you can't see all of the infections and interactions and all of that. And so I was very happy to see and hear this morning Dawn talk, and it shows the growth of the movement. Megan has a beautiful radio voice speaking for Huddle this morning. It shows the growth of the network. The idea of National Action Network is not for you to get here and get in position, but to position an organization that will last longer than you. One of the sad parts of our struggle has been building organizations and movements that don't last. And I think that you need to build structures that will last as long as people need them and as long as there is use for them. And that's why this week we appointed Ebony Rowley, who heads our Washington Bureau. We appointed her the Senior Vice President of Policy and Strategic Partnerships because she has worked diligently, joined the movement in Washington, worked in the office, worked her way up to being Bureau Chief, now Senior Vice President. We never had a Senior Vice President. Now all of that, she's right under the General Counsel and Executive Vice President. So we're building, and we want to show that we are going to have women in top leadership of this organization. All of that is about growth. I remember in 1963 when they had the March on Washington, where Dr. King gave the historic I Have a Dream speech, they wouldn't let women on the program. 50 years later, when National Action Network did the commemoration in March, and Martin Luther King III and us, we had mostly women on the program. It's a matter of growth. It's a matter of growth and understanding. Some of us, I remember for years they didn't believe in women preachers.
Right.
Yeah, right. And it took time for people to adjust to women preachers. I remember when many of you wouldn't deal with people that were gay, whether y'all had religious reasons or not, just homophobia, and had gays right in your family.
People talk about, well, Reverend, how come you can understand working with gays? First gay person I met in church.
That's it.
Don't be acting like you didn't know what gay was. And everybody in the church knew who was gay. Just because you wouldn't talk about it didn't mean it wasn't there. So we need to stop playing with reality and deal with reality. You ready to have Thanksgiving dinner. You know your cousin's a little different. And he think you different, and both of y'all right. Let me say that I want to reiterate, first of all, let me thank Sister Katrina Jefferson and she named the 4 sisters, volunteers that helped her, Sister Word and Sister Goldie, and all of the volunteers, the 4 that she named that stood up and worked. Come on, y'all stand up, give them a hand. There they are. And I'm glad that she did that on the air, because these are people that work and don't ask for nothing, don't get paid nothing, and they're here. You know, I always marvel at folk that get paid and then wonder why you didn't call their name. Your name was on your check. They be telling them, Attorney Hardy, Reverend Al didn't call my name. Yeah, I did. I signed under your name on your paycheck. But I'm talking about folks that work and diligently work and never asked for no credit. And I thought it was so grateful and appropriate that she called them out today. It's Thanksgiving week. We ought to thank folk that work beyond the call of duty. Also want to salute, they were not here last week, but it's birthday was last week, Sister Rachel Nordling, who's been our media communications head for over 20 years now, and has been with us, and she was off for her birthday. I don't know if she was, I don't know, Reverend Daughtry's daughter texted me from Paris. I don't know what resort she was at. Rachel didn't tell us. She just said, don't call me till Monday. So y'all find out where she was, but it was her birthday. Let me repeat what was said, that on Sunday, tomorrow, at 11 o'clock, the Billy Council and Friends, in partnership with National Action Network and the Agatha House Foundation, will be giving away, distributing fresh food and essential items here at the House of Justice at 11 o'clock. That's Billy Council tomorrow, 11 o'clock. They'll be giving away essentials and food, fresh food, here at the House of Justice, 145th and Lenox. Let's welcome our Impact Television family. Then on Tuesday, this Tuesday the 23rd at 5:30, we'll be giving out turkeys as long as they last. Everybody that does not have a turkey and wants a turkey for Thanksgiving can get a turkey here. Now, if you got a turkey at home, don't come get my turkey. This is for those that may. I've had Thanksgivings when I was young that we didn't have a turkey. So don't take a turkey that you don't need. Talk about I got one lady had nerve to tell me one year, Reverend Al, it's the second week in January. I got your turkey up in the freezer. She ate the turkey she had and saved mine. It was crazy enough to tell me about it. If you need a turkey, come and get a turkey. We start serving at 5:30 until we give out. And then on Thanksgiving Day, that's Thursday, starting at 11:30, we will start serving hot Thanksgiving meals. I stay here every Thanksgiving. I have Thanksgiving dinner with everybody on Thanksgiving Day. I'll be here with you 11:30 this Thursday here at the House of Justice. Even you that are going to have dinner at home can come and help serve and have dinner with people that are homeless or seniors that don't have family, and then go home with your family. A lot of people come and serve. Mark Morial from National Urban League, many of our elected officials come and serve and then go and do their Thanksgiving. Many of you that have family, sometimes you bring your family. Sometimes your family want to get rid of you anyway, so come and help serve and then go back later. Some folk hope you don't show back no how. They be texting me, say, keep them out long as you can. So we go spend Thanksgiving together. Let's do that. And again, I'm not celebrating what they did, the Pilgrims did to the indigenous. But since it is a holiday that people deal with culturally, we use it as a day of our bonding and coming together and thanking God that we can be together. Let me say this has been a week I want to break down, and by way of announcements, let me say this and get out the way because I want to get into this week in a serious way. By way of announcements, this evening, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, make sure you watch my show, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton on MSNBC. I'm going to have the mother of Ahmaud Arbery on with her lawyer, Lee Merritt. And I'm also going to have the father of Jacob Blake, Jacob Blake Sr. People are forgetting when we get into this Rittenhouse acquittal yesterday, they're forgetting why they were in Kenosha. They were in Kenosha because policemen shot 7 times in the back. This was video. A young man named Jacob Blake Jr. on a domestic dispute. And that is why they were protesting in Kenosha. And that is when the protests, some turned violent. This young man, Rittenhouse, came, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, and it led to the shooting and all of that. Tonight, the father of the young man shot will be on my show, and the mother of Ahmaud Arbery will be on the show, who we are dealing with in the case of the jogger, the black jogger that was shot and killed in Brunswick, Georgia. Make sure you watch the show tonight, and then of course again tomorrow night, 5 o'clock Saturdays and Sundays on MSNBC. In the morning, I will be on Meet the Press at 10:30 Eastern Time on NBC Network. So we got a busy week now. This week, as many of you know, last Saturday, when I got here, we had just been called out, as the kids would say, by this lawyer in the trial in Brunswick, Georgia. A week ago Wednesday, at the invitation of the parents, I went to Brunswick to sit in the trial with the parents. Now, I won't be real slow and careful on this, because I don't want y'all to miss a lot of points. A lot of people be bad, just run them out and miss the real point, run right past the point. One is we were invited by the parents to go and give them some spiritual counsel. Even as we had been protesting about the case. As stated this week by Attorney Lee Merritt and Attorney Ben Crump, who represent the mother and father, and the mother and father, when Ahmaud was first killed and they called me, I put them on Politics Nation, on my show. before they even had the videotape of what happened. One of the reasons the family was stood up so for me when we were attacked is they said he believed in us when we didn't even have the evidence. They would not even arrest those three at the time we got involved in the case. Everybody can get involved after it becomes a cause célèbre. But if you take the risk, that is real activism.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So I put them on Politics Nation. A few days later, the videotape came out, the uproar began to rise, and it became so. In fact, one of the prosecutors there in Glenn County, said that they should not be prosecuted. Y'all need to get on, y'all got all this social media, go back and Google up what happened. He said that they should not be arrested. They should not be prosecuted. We kept building up until they finally arrested him. Same thing happened with Trayvon Martin. They never intended to arrest Zimmerman until we went down and had to rally 10,000 people. The day my mother died, I led that rally. The job is not to show up when you find out how many cameras are there. The job is to show up and make the cameras come there. So when we went and sat in the court, now I've been to court cases 45 years. We, Reverend Daughtry, and all of us have, way back, I can't even remember when we started going to these court cases. And I've never, ever heard a man get up in court and say that they wanted to ban black pastors from being in court. And then kept doing it. So when I came Thursday, I went to speak in Cincinnati. Now I'd been in court Wednesday, he didn't say nothing when I was there. Thursday he got him in court and said it. And when I heard about it, I said, well, not only am I coming back, I'm gonna call on 100 black pastors to come with me. Why? Because this was not only robbing the family of their right, it was also an attack on the black church. This now was an insult to us. He didn't say ministers, he didn't say civil rights leaders, he said black pastors. And we started calling Reverend Dr. Jamal Bryant, Bishop Reginald Jackson of the AME Church. Others got involved. Reverend Baker there, right there in Brunswick. And we started getting involved. Our own head of religious affairs, Reverend Nelson Rivers. And Reverend Ron Saylor heads our Atlanta office. Reverend DeVest Toom, baddest field director in the world, our field director. We got on the phones and the Zoom calls and called for 100 black pastors to meet us in Brunswick. Now you got to remember, Brunswick is not an easy place to get to. Brunswick is 4 or 5 hours drive out of Atlanta. It ain't like somebody to meet you in Atlanta and you be saying that, yeah, I want to go to Atlanta to this club anyway. Why you smiling, Tyrone? Brunswick is way out of the way. So we go work hard at this, and as we got ready to go, we started having Zoom calls. Before we got ready to leave, 326 ministers had signed up online. But let me tell you something. This is why you got to practice what you preach. As we got ready to go, I was sitting in the office, downtown office with Attorney Hardy, and I said, you know what? I said, Reverend Jackson had gone to see the family, they had called, And I said, I want to call and make sure he stays and goes with us. I called him. He says, well, I'm supposed to go to Oklahoma. They're going to execute this boy, but I'll try to stay out and wait for y'all to get here. And then I called Reverend Herbert Daughtry. And I said, Reverend Daughtry, you called me about this. He was in Augusta when he called me, Augusta, Georgia. And he said, I said, you called me about this, and I'm giving you the details. It would mean a lot for us, to us, for you to be there. He said, yeah, well, I was in Augusta then, I'm home now. He says, but well, give me the arrangements. I said, well, I got an arrangement. You can go with us. Because one of our black businessmen, I won't call his name, but he helped us all the way through the George Floyd case, is giving us a private plane, and you can fly a private plane, Herb Daughtry plane. We got to the private airport and asked for Bishop Daughtry's plane. And it meant a lot to me as we get ready for Thanksgiving that two of the men, Reverend Jesse Jackson and Herb Daughtry, that trained and helped to raise me when my daddy wasn't even there for me, was able to stand with us and hundreds of black ministers in the Deep South to stand up for a black woman and a black man who lost their son. You must connect. Sometimes you won't know what to do Thanksgiving. You need to check your path and know what God had brought you through and who God put in your path to bring you through. They got a new novel out using the title of it is Sankofa. And Duckett, Sankofa is the where you're going forward but looking back. That's the Sankofa symbol. Sometimes you need to look back as you move forward. Some of y'all move forward and never look back. The reason I can go forward is I look back and know if God brought me through all I've been through, God will bring me through where I'm going through. There wouldn't have been what I've become if it hadn't been a Jesse Jackson or Herb Daughtry or F.D. Washington or William Jones. Don't forget those that helped you. They did not have to help you. Somebody, yeah, well, you know, they did a little bit for me. Like they owed you. They didn't know you. They wasn't your daddy. And it meant a lot to me that Martin Luther King III met us there.
That's right, that's right.
Because we need to keep the lineage and continuity of our movements. We need to stop competing with each other and start complimenting each other. This ain't no basketball game trying to outshoot each other. We're on the same team. And if we lose, if one lose, the whole team lose. It's about winning the game, not trying to be the star. I told one of them guys when Carl and I went to Minneapolis on George Floyd, and I told one of them guys, said, well, Rev Al, I respect you coming to family come, but a lot of these guys just want to get on TV. I said, well, I don't need to get on TV. I got my own TV show. I'm going to be on Saturday and Sunday if I don't do nothing else. It is not about getting on TV. It's about why you on TV. A lot of folk on TV embarrassing themselves. Housewives of insanity. On the TV ripping each other's weaves out. Like we marched and went to jail for you get on the TV and disgrace us. I mean, just sitting up there, snatching weaves out each other and calling that entertainment. Some of y'all getting ready to binge now for the holiday on foolishness. So the the historic continuity. I wanted, and the reason that I wanted this to be shown is I wanted for our young people that come to Huddle, young people that are all over our chapters, our young generation of leaders that's coming on. Reverend Charles Williams, who was there, here's our Detroit chapter, our Michigan chapter, Reverend Stephen Marshall, a lot of our young people. I wanted them to know the continuity of struggle. Kirsten John Ford was there. I want them to know it is more important to be linked to something than to be standing by yourself with nothing. Part of the Eurocentric, y'all get this straight, part of the Eurocentric thinking is the I, the individual. So you get a lot of these activist types that go through the I. Don't join Dan, don't join NAACP. You need to make a name for yourself. That is not the thinking that comes from people that were raised in the villages in Africa. It was about the village. It was not about the I. It was not about a name for yourself. It was about if the village exalted you, you know you had backing because you were tested and tried and nurtured by the village. You get out there by yourself, you're going to fall flat because there's no one nurturing you. You get out there by yourself, and then when they jump on you, you wonder why ain't nobody with you, because you left the village. Hello? So I wanted, and one of the proudest things I've seen in my journey was that the whole media had to cover the power of black pastors on the other night. Every national channel said that hundreds of black pastors come and stood up for Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick, Georgia. We have not seen that kind of collective strength of the black church in a long time. To put it as Central News is to tell our children that all of these people that keep talking about the black church don't mean nothing no more. Well, they saw what it meant this week. Because mind you that now, I wasn't the only one in Brunswick. There were activists in Brunswick. There was civil rights folk in Brunswick. There was bang bang revolutionaries in Brunswick. There was all kinds. But the one that this defense lawyer pointed out was black pastors. He said, enough black pastors. I don't want no more black pastors. Why was he intimidated by black pastors? He said, well, they may influence the jury. He knows that given the history and lineage of the black church, going from Dr. King back to Nat Turner, if some of them are up in here with the spiritual power that can turn rods into snakes and snakes back into rods, that can open up Red Seas, that can part the Jordan, I don't want none of that up in here. That lawyer knew what you didn't know. You've been denying where you come from. When he recognized where you come from, he knew if you come in there talking a lot of smack, that would help him. But it was those that broke this country's back with prayer and faith and belief is what scares him. You got 11 whites in the jury, 1 black. You need spiritual power. When the odds are stacked against you, your calculus don't work. bishop, faith will work. Faith will make the uneven even. Faith will open doors. Faith will break a yoke. Faith. That mother needed people that believed the impossible. And that's why he got upset. But I'm so glad that Bishops Charles Ellis, all kind of people, came down because they wanted to stand up for the church and for this family. And this was a historic day. Give all of those, I think it was about 500 ministers, black pastors, give them a big hand for showing up and showing out. And I want to thank my unnamed black businessman that gave us the plane and gave it to us during George Floyd. And I'm going back this week when they get ready for the verdict or when they give the closing arguments. We don't get in cases that we don't stay in. That's right. And let me tell you something. The prosecution, whatever the result we'll see, but the prosecution gave a great case. When she made the man admit on the stand, they call themselves making a real move by putting a shooter on to the stand. Usually defendants don't take the stand. Attorney Hardy can tell you. That's a risk. And I see why it was risky, because she made him, the prosecutor, made him admit that they never told this boy this was a citizen's arrest. They never told him he was under arrest. He never threatened them. Say he was acting weird. And they tracked him down, shot him several times. Now, if you go by the testimony of the shooter, they ought to go. Now, we don't know what's going to happen, but we know whatever happens, that mother and father was not going to have to sit in that courtroom by themselves. I want to explain to y'all, you got to know that the courtroom is a small courtroom. The parents of Ahmaud Arbery's on the back row. In front of them is the family of the defendants. There are 3 defendants. So all of them got the middle of the court. Then in front of them are the 3 men that killed their son. So imagine you have to sit there every day looking at the 3 killers of your son and their relatives. And nobody's sitting there with you. That's why I went. And that's why we went back. And that's why we're going to keep going back. When you talk about what does Nan do, that's what we do. While you run around talking about whatever you talking about. Somebody got to be there where people are needed. Then we watched this case that the verdict came yesterday. Now,
Oh, boy.
Kyle Rittenhouse, 17 years old, left Illinois, went to Wisconsin with a semi-automatic AR-15 gun. Legally, he should not have been able to hold. Went there because in Kenosha, Wisconsin, left Illinois, went across the state line into Wisconsin, headed to Kenosha, where a policeman had shot Jacob Blake Jr. in the back 7 times. Saw it on video. The people were marching and demonstrating, some violence. Now again, I want y'all to watch this now. We do not know who was doing the violence, because it has now come out in Minneapolis that the people that burned down the Target store were right-wingers trying to make it look like it was the black side. Y'all saw this come out. So we don't know if the people in Kenosha wasn't the same thing. it feels strange to me that these violent uprisings are always an offshoot of the marches, not the marches. And I always be wondering when you get these people, Rev Marshall, that be agitating at our rallies. We went through it with Eric Garner. Attorney Hardy always said, go over there and get their badge number. They may be working for the police. Provocateur. How you more mad about Eric than his mama? Mother standing there and with grace and dignity call for prosecution, and you be talking about, we don't want that. How you gonna tell the family what they want? Unless you there for another agenda. We ain't never seen you before, and they ain't gonna see you again.
Never seen it.
But you gonna tell us what we want. Like I was telling some folk this week, about, yeah, well, you know, I respect Reverend Al, but I'm with a grassroots organization. Ain't nothing more grassroots than Saturday morning in a storefront holler. Look at it here, this ain't grassroots. You mean you with the dirt under the grassroots? We ain't dirty, but we rooty up in here. Here this morning was one of the Central Park 5, exonerated 5, did 14 years in jail for a rape he never did. Donald Trump called for him to be killed. Ain't nothing more grassroots than the Central Park 5. Watch these folk that are more militant than you, because they may be on assignment. Just this week, they revealed that 2 of the men that they put in jail for decades for killing Malcolm X didn't kill him. Watch those that you point the finger at, because some of them may be pointing you away from them so they can set somebody else up. I'm so-and-so. Well, how come I didn't know about you before? I've been in the movement since I was 12 years old. Seems like to me, if you've been in the movement in 50-some years, I should have known you. And if I don't know you, and Herb Daughtry don't know you, and Herb Daughtry 91, between his 91 and my 67, that's 100 and some years. If you got past both of us, you just go sit in the corner until somebody's identify you. The danger, though. I was on Joy Reid's last night, Nicole Wallace and all them. The danger of the Rittenhouse verdict. Let me tell you what. I was not surprised, but outraged by the verdict. Wasn't surprised because the leader of the defense of Rittenhouse was the judge. I mean, Rittenhouse shouldn't even pay the lawyers. The judge defended him. So I wasn't surprised at the outcome, though it was outrageous. But what is startling is what they have now done is say in a jury decision in the court of law that you can come to a demonstration and say that you felt threatened and kill people and say I did it in self-defense. I want y'all to watch this now, because I know some of my super duper folks talk about, oh, Rev Al getting on us, but I'm going somewhere with this. I got on y'all to alert y'all. Which means that we must be very disciplined in all of our rallies and marches now, because the Rittenhouse verdict has set us up. That all they need you to do is some bad talk, and they will take out guns and shoot folk at our marches. And use the viral of you to say it was self-defense. I ain't talking about what could happen, it did happen yesterday. That's why, let me connect it together, that's why the black church need to be more involved in these movements. Because folks that know how to deal with their tongue and their action. Well, right now you got to understand our anger and rage. I do understand your anger and rage. Ain't nobody more angry than me. I done been and spoken more funerals, went to more cemeteries, helped bury more bodies. Think about it. Sometimes go to sleep and be dreaming about bodies that I've had to put in the ground. But I understand that I cannot be used to set my people up. And in your anger, you must be disciplined so you can deal with what you're angry about. That's why it becomes important that the moral leadership of Dr. King and the moral leadership of the movement is what broke through in the 60s.
Yeah, right.
Because they were able to discipline themselves and channel their rage into activism that changed laws.
Yeah.
Like Brother Pounder said, I was at the White House this week when Biden signed the infrastructure bill. And I'm sitting out there, they had it on the South Lawn. Cold as it could be, I was freezing. I said, Chris, give me some gloves. And everybody got up there gonna speak like they at a Baptist convention. And I'm like, somebody pull their coat, it's cold out. And when they got finished, Porter's right over to me, what you think, Reverend Al? I said, I'm here because I'm glad they're gonna do the expansion of broadband, because many of our communities during the pandemic could not go online because of broadband deserts. I'm glad about that. I'm glad that they're going to give contracts to blacks. We're going to monitor the contracts. But I want you in the same way that you passed this bill to deal with voting rights and to deal with the George Floyd bill. I'm here to represent what you are not signing. And I'm here to tell you the only reason Biden could sign this bill is because we put the pen in Biden's hand and we want him to sign a voting rights bill. We have work to do. We have, when you see from Rittenhouse acquittal to what's going on in Brunswick, Georgia, to where there's a Supreme Court case that will allow them to carry guns in New York. Legal. You getting ready to have the OK Corral right here in New York if you're not careful. And you and I must be serious about that. If they change the gun law in New York, it will make us seriously in trouble. That's why I said the beauty, give a hand. I mentioned Minister Kirsten John Ford was with us in Brunswick, just come in. He must have heard me calling him on the radio and jumped in the car, come up here. I know how to get Kirsten back home, call his name. He put on his pink sneakers and run up there. What, you done got your hip hop necklace on? What is that? I got you. But we're glad that I mentioned them on there. I'm glad that all of them came. Let me tell you something. As we approach this Thanksgiving, like I said earlier, I do not celebrate what happened to the Native Americans. You ought to use this Thanksgiving time to educate your children on what happened to the Native Americans. They don't want critical race theory. Critical race should start at your dinner table. You should tell them what happened with Rittenhouse and how they have made this legal now that a boy underage could get a gun and now put a precedent in the court that self-defense doesn't even have to be where it's self-defense evidence. Tell them while you sitting around eating stuffing that a boy was jogging in Brunswick, Georgia. And they trapped him off like a rat, they called it. They said, we got him trapped like a rat and killed this boy. Not in the 50s, not back in the day, not with grandma's movement, right now. And you sitting around seeing how many likes you got on Instagram calling yourself an activist. Right now, mothers sitting there in Brunswick don't know if they're going to give justice who killed her son. And you ridden around trying to get the first shots you can on social media. It's time for us to get serious, because these people are serious about us. All of a sudden they're writing all these articles about Kamala Harris. Is she doing a good job? She ain't up to par. You start seeing 3-4 articles and come one right after another. That's a plan. Y'all called me and said, don't you think Vice President Harris ought to be doing more? She spoke well at National Action Network's anniversary. Shouldn't she be doing that more? I said, first of all, if she jumped out ahead of the president, y'all say she don't know how to be vice president. Angry black woman. If she plays the role of the vice president and tries to, in their private conversations, say whatever she needs to say, then you say, why ain't she out there more aggressive? Whatever it is, they're going to find a way. But I learned a long time ago, they don't attack you unless you're doing something. I tell the story all the time. I was telling this to a young preacher the other day that went to Brunswick, and he said to me, Reverend Al, I don't know how you take all the attacks. Man calling your name in the court every day. This man 5 times, this defense lawyer, got up and said, we ought to have a mistrial because of Al Sharpton and this one and that one and the other. 5 times my name, 2 or 3 times everybody else. He said, I don't know how you take it. I said, I just told this story to a young minister. When I was a young activist, about 13 or 14, I started getting a little press, and somebody criticized me. And I remember there was a guy, a preacher, Reverend Daughtry might remember, that used to come to Operation Bread Basket. We used to have bread baskets Saturday morning. That's where I got the Saturday morning rallies from. And this guy named was Reverend Whaley. Yeah. And Whaley, you remember Reverend Whaley? Yeah. And Reverend Whaley said to me, young man, he said, I see they attacked you this week. I said, yeah, Reverend Whaley. And I started trying to explain and justify what they were wrong about. He said, don't waste your time explaining nothing to me. He said, you watch football? I said, not really. He said, you watch Super Bowl? I said, yeah. He said, you see that there's the quarterback and there's the defense lineup and the offensive lineup facing him and the tacklers. He said, and the quarterback will throw the ball. The tacklers run after the guy with the ball. Don't nobody try to tackle you if you don't have the ball. He said, watch football games. They don't run after guys on the other team. They run after the guy with the ball. Because only the guy with the ball can score and get across the score line. He said, so when you see them coming after you, you must know that you must have the ball. You keep your eye on the goal line and run, even if you got to run with them on your back, run anyhow. Folk be talking about, I don't know why they always messing with you, because I'm messing with them. Messing with me? Well, ain't nobody messing with me, praise the Lord. Because you ain't messing with nobody. despite the darkness of the hour. I love what Duncan said. Sometimes God uses bad things to get us in shape so we can keep on fighting. Fighter got to go through training before he get in the ring. And I know some of us are heartbroken about what happened with Rittenhouse, but every once in a while, something like that will happen to make us understand that the struggle isn't over. And that we're not each other's enemies, that they would shoot us all down. Maybe sometimes we need to have this so our egos will be put aside and our agendas will be canceled. And we understand that we need to have the village back together so we can fight together and stand together. And then I was thinking the other day, when I got to the airport, the guy that was giving us private planes, pilot got sick. And they said that we got to cancel the plane. So I said to Rachel and Chris and those traveling with us, I didn't want to go over there and tell Reverend Dorothy we didn't have no plane. We got to find a plane. And finally, they found a plane and said, but you won't get there for 2.5 hours late. So I called down and told them I'm going to be late. Just hold people that feed the preachers as they come. And finally, after all of this back and forward, we finally got on the plane. And I thought about, as we was going down the coast, I thought about how on Thanksgiving, Kirsten, I used to hope we'd have some turkey. Didn't care if we didn't have dessert. Didn't know where Daddy was, and Mama would go and clean the folks' house. She was a domestic worker. We wouldn't have dinner till it was late because she had to serve them first. And now, a few years later, I'm sitting on a private plane with her daughter on my way down to Georgia to stand up. I could complain, but God brought me from the New Lots train to marching, to where I can ride a private plane to keep on marching. I'm going to thank them anyhow. You may not have been through nothing in your life, but if you've been through the stuff I've been through, I will give thanks. I know you too angry, I know you too mad, but I'm going to thank him anyhow. He brought me from a mighty long way. He brought me through thick and thin. I'm going to thank him anyhow. I'm going to thank him because he wiped tears from my eyes. I'm going to thank him because he made a way out of no way. I will give thanks to the Lord because he is good to me. He's been good to me. He's been good to me. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Many of y'all know my story, how Daddy left when I was 10. And I was bitter many years, but as the years went by, and I started talking about Daddy again, I could forgive my daddy. Because as I got older, I made mistakes and wanted to be forgiven. But I also see it now that sometimes God will get people out of the way so he can put others in the way. And maybe things that you got from them, you couldn't have got from who he moved out of the way. So I wanted to come on Thanksgiving Saturday to tell you, give thanks anyhow. Whatever your condition, thank him anyhow. It could have been you in a circumstance worse than the end. God blessed you anyhow. Use what you got to get what you want. There is a God that take us from nothing and make us something. Stand up anyhow. I'm on my way to keep fighting. I got more to fight with. I got more strength. I got more energy. I will give thanks to the Lord, for he is good and his mercy. And his mercy. Thank God for his mercy. His mercy followers of the movement. There may be someone here today that hears us on the radio, watches some of our things on television, but never joined National Action Network. If you're here today and never joined, I want you to come down on this Saturday before Thanksgiving and join right now. Let us sign you up. Don't let this year close without your name on the book. If you're here, just come down either aisle to me and let us sign you up. If you're listening on radio or one of our social media platforms, you can call and join over the phone at 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, or you can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and join online. But if you're here, come on to me right now. Let's welcome you to the family of justice. Everybody singing.